Hi all, I'm Cullen Haynes and welcome to Live with Cullen Haynes, LawLive, episode 92. Thank you so much. If you've been following us for so long, thank you so much for your support. Be sure to like and subscribe to the podcast. You can get it wherever you listen to them. And we're on YouTube, LinkedIn, Facebook, Twitch, X, and Instagram Live as well. My next guest has had over 20 years in the legal realm, worked in big law at Mills Oakley, and has been working and founded her own firm 5 years ago, Lewis Family Lawyers. And we're going to be talking all things family law, building a firm with a conscience, and how to make a difference in law. Hopefully, non-lawyers and clients and lawyers get something out of this episode. I know I certainly am, and this has been many years in the making because I've been trying to get Samantha on the show for a while now. So I'm so glad we get to bring her on. So could you please make very welcome the one, the only, Miss Samantha Lewis, Principal Director and Founder of Lewis Family Lawyers. How are you, Samantha?
What an introduction. Thanks so much, Cullen. So excited to be on.
Absolutely. Credit where credit's due. And I want you to be able to basically say, what is it that you do in a nutshell? Give us the skinny of what's happening in Samantha's life right now.
Yeah, well, we've got two offices, one in the city, one in the Southern Highlands where I live, running a family law practice pretty much from prenups to exit strategies in a relationship right through to the messy end of divorce and parenting disputes and all of that.
Absolutely. So we do have prenups in Australia, or are they called something else? Because I know I hear about it online in the American kind of system. That's something that exists here.
Yes, I do default to the prenup because binding financial agreements or BFAs just sound a bit boring. But yes, we definitely do. We have binding financial agreements we can enter into before the relationship, during and post separation as well. So they're a really, really useful tool.
No, fantastic. And I want to shout out that we called the episode Building a Firm with a Conscience. And we want to get into that. But obviously, it's something with your long and storied background. It's very important for you that you can, you're adding value and you're actually making a difference in what you're doing, right? Like that's why you chose the area of law that you're in right now.
Yeah, I'm hoping to. We've had a lot of changes in New South Wales recently.
Yes.
I obviously run a private law firm. We do private work for private clients. We've never done legal aid matters before where, the government subsidises clients' fees. But recently there's been a cut to basically all funding in family law and legal aid in New South Wales. So it's really, really hard for people to get access to lawyers now in family law. So when that happened, pretty quickly after that happened, I made a decision to really change the way I approach law and in the firm. And so we've just hired a lawyer her main role is to do pro bono work and independent children's lawyer work. I think every firm should be doing that. I think it's disappointing. I'm disappointed in myself that I hadn't done anything before it got to this point. And I just wish more firms would pick up their boots and start doing more to help those people that are really in need.
Why do you think that is? And it's admirable that you're doing that now. Why do you think more firms don't do pro bono work, or it's not a core focus, would you say?
One word, Cullen.
Yeah, I know what you're going to say.
It is just greed. Lawyers,
yes.
We make a good living, and I think people just get it just snowballs and they forget. I came from a small town in New Zealand and I've never forgotten that. And I think that probably helps guide the way in which I run this firm.
No, it's very admirable what you're doing. And I think based on our conversation before and during, I think it's important and that we get that message out there. And I'd love to ask you, switching gears a little bit, if you could summarize your life so far, or your life in law so far in the last 20 years with a movie title, what would that title be, would you say?
I've thought about this, and I think it's Everything, Everywhere, All at Once. That was a great movie, and it just really, really sums it up for me. I started this firm, I was 8 months pregnant. And I opened it.
Wow.
Yeah, my son was a couple of weeks old, and it was just a whirlwind. And then when I had my second, expanded again, and the firm got bigger, and it just hasn't really stopped. So it's just been a wild journey. And in the last 18 months, 12, 18 months, we've gone from me and my secretary to now, I think there's 7 lawyers, and there's 12 of us. So it never ends.
That's staggering growth, and incredible that you started during your first little one coming into the world. How was that? Like, that's so scary. Like starting a firm with such a big life change coming as well.
I just had one goal, and I think that's really important for people. If you just have one goal, my one goal was just pay the bills. Can we just pay the bills?
Yes.
And then I realized quite quickly it was going to be more than that. So then I wanted to see how far I could take it, and I think that's still something that drives me. How far can we take it?
Well, I want to dive and unpack a little bit more of the hero story, how you got to where you are, why family law, and why is it that you're drawn to high stakes, complex matters that go into the too hard basket with other firms and lawyers?
So I never wanted to be a family lawyer. I was destined to be a criminal lawyer. I have family that are in criminal law, and that's where I started. I think I was, 17, working for free, as we all did back then.
Yes.
In a law firm, to get our foot in the door. And that's where I wanted to be, all of the juicy stories. And then slowly, as time went on, I moved different firms, and then I just started doing more and more family law work. And it wasn't really until probably maybe 8 or 9 years ago now.
Yes.
The question was asked, well, why family law? And I had to really think about it. And I realized it's just solving problems. That's what I love doing for people, solving problems. And it just happens to be family law that now I am so invested in, because there are so many problems in family law, whether it's, I'm not talking about just the parenting disputes and the property disputes, but, I act for a lot of business owners that have trusts, offshore assets, and really complicated structures, that their problems are really complex. And it's those puzzle pieces that I really love getting into and working out.
No, I think, and you're doing admirable work. And, one of my favorite shows is, and I don't know how true to life it is, but is Better Call Saul, who is a criminal lawyer. How was your experience in criminal law, and how did it shape the way you view matters now and the way you approach family law? Because I'm sure as a criminal lawyer, you approach the world very differently to a normal commercial lawyer, as it were.
Definitely. And I think I'll never forget, I was a junior lawyer, and I was sitting at the bar table. It was a committal hearing of a murder, and there were quite a few people involved. And I just remember sitting at this bar table with very senior barristers and very senior lawyers, because we were all co-accused. And the deceased's family were crying in the gallery. It was really quite emotional, going through the evidence. And then when it adjourned for recess, one of the barristers, who will remain unnamed, started humming, because it was a melee, it was a machete used to kill the deceased. And one of the barristers next to me at the recess started humming the Star Wars theme song. And I just thought, wow, because that's the way that they deal with this enormous responsibility for their clients, and this enormous pressure and emotional difficulty dealing with hearing what we're saying. You have to have some level of humor, and just, not taking ourselves so seriously, because this is really heavy stuff. And that's always stuck with me, and it's reminded me to realize there are bigger things going on. These are people's lives. We need to really be in it when we're in it. And when we're on in that courtroom. But when it's recess, we are completely out of it, because otherwise it is just too hard to deal with.
So compartmentalizing is important. And some people on the outside looking in, hearing that, would go, well, that's very insensitive. Why would that barrister do that? But like, to your point, you're dealing with some pretty horrendous things. So you have to be able to cope. Otherwise you would go, you'd have a breakdown yourself, I'm sure, if you didn't do that, right?
And I see that in family law quite a bit. Family law, we get a bad rap of the lawyers getting really invested in the outcome. And
Yes.
they start talking like it's their children, like it's their money, and the letters that are getting exchanged are just horrendous.
Yes.
I feel like those people have never been outside of the realm of family law. They haven't experienced other areas, or they haven't had, the life experience to realize that is so not helping your client. You haven't compartmentalized, and you're not doing the best job and being objective. That's what I say to people. They don't realize the amount of difficulty, but also importance it is to compartmentalize.
No, well said there, Samantha. And we've already got some viewers watching. And thank you. If you are watching, thank you so much for tuning in and re-listening. I would encourage you to put your questions, queries, comments, or concerns to me. Put them in the chat box and we'll bring them up. Like Genevieve here. Genevieve says a firm with a conscience could be a better way to describe Sam and the way she works with her clients. That's very nice, Genevieve. Thank you for that. Amazing. So keep them coming, everyone. Keep them coming. You're known as the lawyer's family lawyer. I'd love to dive into why you're known and you have that moniker and that reputation. And yeah, basically, what was the story behind that?
I think it's really just because I'm very pragmatic, and lawyers, there's always different answers depending on which lawyer you speak to.
Of course.
It's really, but I think when people come to see me, I make it really easy. And I think some lawyers think it makes them better if they, it sounds all complicated. It's got to be all very expensive.
It's got to be flowery. You can't smile in your LinkedIn photo. Got to do that. Very serious.
Whereas I don't have the patience or time for any of that. I've always been very outcomes focused. So I really want to get people in, find out what they want, and get them out. The system is not a good system. It's a horrible system. My whole goal is just to figure out what they want, what can I get them, and get them in and out. And some people might think, oh, gosh, that's not very, I want someone to hold my hand, which I absolutely do. But at the same time, I don't want it to cost 10 times more. And I think that's where lawyers appreciate that, because they know the law, they can figure it out themselves. They just want someone to be pragmatic and get things done. And so that's what I've found with my clients and how I get constant referrals.
Well, if you are on LinkedIn, one of my network or Samantha's, this is Samantha Lewis, Lewis Family Lawyers, the lawyer's family lawyer. So be sure to get in touch. Maybe a DM on LinkedIn, or how would they best get in touch with you if they want a confidential chat there, Samantha?
Yeah, absolutely. I think I've even got my mobile floating around. I'm very, very open to calls, emails, and our website. So I get contact even through WhatsApp. I remember on Christmas Day, someone from Iraq actually contacted me representing him. I'm sure it was a very complicated matter, but so all modes of contact work.
Look at this. We've got a question from Christy Kurzwell, who's asked, and Christy's been a guest of the show as well. So thanks there, Christy. What's your favorite type of matter that comes across your desk? That's a great question there, Christy.
Really good question. I really enjoy when, to be honest, I actually love the stories when they've already reached an agreement and it's really amicable, because I don't see many of those. They're actually the ones that make me enjoy more of what I do, because it's more pleasant. I had a client in the Highlands, and they owned a lot of properties, probably half the Highlands, and they were just so beautiful and amicable, and still had dinner with each other, and it took a bit of time to formalize the agreement, and that's what was my job. But it was just such a heartening experience, because a lot of what I deal with is the complete opposite. So it's always refreshing, and I'm always happy to get the ones that are basically resolved.
No, it's nicer people out in the Highlands. I wanted to maybe a sidestep there, sidebar. I came from a country town. You're from New Zealand and you live in the Southern Highlands. Beautiful area. Does that help frame the way you look at matters when you come into the city and you're dealing with these high stakes negotiations, emotions and things like that, being able to go into your retreat in the Highlands? Does that help?
Yeah, I mean, we've got a very busy office in the city. So we're in the EY building at 200 George Street, and it's just always
Go and visit. Yes.
Yeah. Well, it's a funny triangle where we're located because it's around the financial district. So we get a lot of people coming to us just because
Of course.
they're in the building next door or what have you. And it's always very busy, hustle and bustle, and high stakes, high net wealth families. And so it's kind of a release driving back home, which I do drive. It's a bit of a hike, but I enjoy it. But it is funny because I feel like the Southern Highlands is kind of like the eastern suburbs just in the country. So it's just a different pace. It's just a very different pace. Similar people, just different pace.
Absolutely. And that was another one of my nice segues in. Is that how you unwind at the end of a difficult day? Is that drive? Is that a way to decompress? Putting the music on, podcast or something? Yeah.
Yeah. Listening to your podcast, Cullen, on the way home, on the drive.
Oh, that's very kind of you. Absolutely put it on. That's it. LawLive, everyone.
Very, I think you need a way to decompress, and alcohol isn't always the best way. It's certainly many lawyers' ways, and my way definitely. But when I'm trying to cut back, definitely the drive is really helpful.
That's really special indeed. And what's a surprising skill that has helped you, that not many people know about, that's helped you in your career and journey, especially in family law?
That is such a good question. I did a bit of psychology before I started my law degree and found it so fascinating, sociology and psychology, that just really understanding people.
Yes.
And, personality issues, personality disorders and traits. That was really, really helpful. And I'm quite lucky in my firm. We've got a couple of people that have done a psychology degree
wow.
Psychology. So, and they're at first point of contact with clients. So
incredible.
It really helps to understand. And I find that even now, after all these years, I still think back to the psychology that I've learned. And I was in a mediation recently, and there was a lady who was just so angry. She wasn't my client. She was just, you walked in and you did not want to have to sit with her for the whole day. She was just oozing anger. And
you can feel it.
You can feel it, right? It's everyone's on eggshells. It's really uncomfortable. And as we walked out, I said to the mediator, that's what trauma does to you. And I feel like me saying it out loud and saying it to the mediator in a private sort of way, it kind of just helped us go, yes, we really need to actually help this woman, rather than the normal response is just get angry as well and be defensive.
Correct.
You've got to remember these people have gone through a lot of trauma, and we're there just to help.
No, it sounds like you're very empathetic, and I know it's easy to say. Everyone says, "Oh, put yourself in that other person's shoes," but it's very hard, especially when emotions are running wild. I'm sure you subscribe to Plato's belief that be kind, because everyone you meet is fighting a hard battle you know nothing about. So I'm glad you approach your work and life that way there, Samantha. I think it's amazing. Now, you are experiencing like a exponential growth. You've already hired 7 or 8 people now, lawyers working with you. What is the reason for this growth? Obviously, you're doing fine work. Is it just because of word of mouth? Like, what is the cause of this meteoric rise, would you say?
It's definitely hiring the right people. I feel very lucky in everyone that's come on board. And we all have the same values. We all treat each other the same way and clients the same way. We're all very much a team working together. And word of mouth has just been exceptional for all of us. So
of course,
it's just been compounded. It's really compounding. Every staff member that starts, I feel like there's just another momentum, and the firm just grows and grows and grows just naturally and organically. It's really been exciting to sit back and watch. Not that I'm sitting back very often, but yeah.
No, it's incredible, and congrats on all the growth and success you've been experiencing. I would say we're almost 2/3 into the stream. If you've got any more questions, please put them in there. You're listening to Samantha Lewis, Lewis Family Lawyers. We're talking about building a firm with a conscience and her time growing this firm in family law. Now, I want to ask you a question from the broader profession, the legal profession here. Where do you see it going with the rise of AI and everything going on in the next 10 years? I know our crystal ball is broken, but what's your prediction there, Samantha?
I think everyone gets really nervous about particularly juniors not having a role because we can use AI, and there's, AI paralegals,
Good
there's all
point.
sorts of things. But I don't think this is an area of law where that's going to happen. I think it'll be quite the
No.
opposite. We already have seen so much growth in this market, in this industry.
Yes.
And what AI can do is just make it more efficient. So I'm certainly learning from other business owners outside of family law who, instead of engaging with AI and saying, okay, we're just going to sack all of our staff, well, how about we make the role easier and maybe go down to a shorter working week, or having the ability to make things
Very
more
good
efficient.
point.
We can take on more work. There's a never-ending amount of family law work, and I think if we just make our team much more efficient, we will have more capacity to help more people. And so I think if we change our mindset, instead of being so scared about this and actually utilizing as a tool, like Excel was a great tool, I think we'll find a lot more efficiencies and growth in the area rather than being scared and having no job.
I love that. And just enhancing the way you work, and probably allowing you to have more face-to-face with your client, because I think people are looking at AI the wrong way in some respects, to say, oh, let's do it all the client facing. But AI is terrible at engaging in a way a human would. It mimics, but it can't tell nuance. It can't tell tone. It wouldn't be able to tell that that lady who walked in the room was viscerally angry. So I think we need to reframe the way we're actually looking to implement it as well, because people want to do business with people, or at least have a human at the end of the day. So I'm glad you're leaning into it. Yeah, I think so, Samantha. I don't know if you can tell us, but maybe we can anonymize it. Is there any anecdotes of the most unusual request or thing that you've had to endeavor, or a matter that's come across your desk in the last 20 years that you've engaged in?
Well, everyone loves to know, everyone thinks, oh, well, you're not going to get much repeat work from a client, who gets divorced more than once. But I think the best, but it happens, and it happens quite frequently. And I think the most outstanding and extraordinary one I had was a repeat client. I acted for her first divorce, and she'd had an affair with someone at her work, and that's why the marriage broke down. And then the person she had an affair with, he was having an affair as well. His wife hooked up with her ex-husband. And so it was this bizarre four-way that I ended up doing the first divorce. And of course, then I ended up doing her second divorce with the guy that she had the affair with. And it was this entanglement of all these parties.
Oh my goodness.
We all knew each other intimately because we'd already gone through the first divorce. And it was wild. It was wild.
I know if you wrote a book, Samantha, I'd buy it for sure, with all the stories that you've come across. It's pretty incredible.
There are some corpers.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. But, we all stand on the shoulders of giants, and we can't get here alone. Is there anyone that you want to shout out, or reflecting on, who has been an influential mentor in your life that's been important to you?
I've been quite lucky. I've had the very first law job I had, Mitchell Kavanagh was my boss, and he was just fantastic, just guiding me through criminal law and being a lawyer and a paralegal. And I stayed in touch with him, and I still stay in touch with him to this day. But I think after that, I had another really amazing boss, and I was with him for about 8 years. Very polarizing individual he was. Very patriarchal, and he really questioned everything. And that really helped me really question everything in the world and not be so, assuming everything is what we're being told. And I think just having different perspectives has really helped. But the best thing he did for me was he would randomly come into my office, a couple of times a week, and he'd have a piece of paper, and he'd just start writing down, different business plan things, and how to run a business, and how you plateau, and how you build wealth, and how you do this. And it was just so random but so helpful. And I still find myself sitting there going, gosh, yeah, that's what Brendan taught me. Having people that are so transparent and so open and honest in how to run a business. You just don't get access to that as a lawyer. People think having a good mentor is just, black letter law, but it's not. It's, engaging with people and engaging in business, running a business. Those are the things that have really helped my career, and I'm just so grateful, so grateful.
So Mitchell and Brendan, if you're listening or rewatching, this one's for you. Incredible, incredible. What would you like to see change in law? And you can be as honest and put some barbs in there or what have you there, Samantha. What do you think needs to change in law?
That is such a good question, because I'm finding it the way I'm hopefully working with the people that are working with me. I feel like everyone I know in law has had a horrible experience at some point in their career dealing with some horrible firms, some horrible HR, horrible hours, expectations, just, this unnecessary battleground that you apparently have to go through because you're a lawyer. And yes, I understand that, we need some building resilience, but I think
harden up. That's the message, right?
I think it's just so unnecessary, because you will learn anyway. And so I try to really shelter my junior lawyer, and I've had other staff saying, you need to let her go. Like, you need to push her. You need to, not everyone had this cruisy, introduction to law. You have to be a bit harder. But I don't think it's necessary. So I really hope that with AI and with, things being a bit more efficient, we don't have to be pushing our lawyers to be working, 12, 14-hour days. I don't think we should be working weekends. I don't think, we should be saying, oh, you're never going to be a good lawyer because you can't get this right. I'm so hopeful that we will be able to shift to a much more, happy workplace, which I don't hear from many law firms at all.
No, I think that's the way we're going. It may take a few years there, Samantha, but I think there'll be more firms and people buying into the way you view the world. So thank you for calling that out. I think that's we can all derive some lessons in there indeed. What about some lessons before we get to the final question? What about some lessons for young professionals, young lawyers starting their career? What would you have liked to have known, or what lessons would you give them?
Good question. I think I had this law professor who was very clear and said, oh, look, don't be niche. Don't be niche. This is at law school. Don't be niche. Make sure you have lots of different exposures to different areas of law before you really settle down, or if you ever settle down. Just make sure you've had different experience. And I think that's been the best advice I've ever received as a young professional, who was always going to do criminal law. I didn't have to worry about any other area. I hated every other area, but I'm so glad he said that, because I did go into different areas and I did try different things and different firms and had different experiences. And I think without that, I would not be the lawyer I am today. And I see it all the time with even some senior family law professionals who have never done anything outside of family law. And you can tell I can't have a conversation with them about Division 7A loans or, complex family structures. Like, they've never had anything outside of, mum and dad superannuation in the house. It's disappointing. And I think it's really limiting as a professional. You need to have a lot more experience in different areas of law to really understand what you're doing.
Experience and exposure. You've got the many spokes on the wheel coming to the one. So it gives you a balanced view of the world. And I'm glad you can talk to the best of them about Div 16K and all those other things that are coming out there, and loan buybacks, and oh my goodness. But, we are getting towards the 30-minute mark, Samantha. So I wanted to ask you this question before we bring you back for some bonus questions. When all is said and done, how would you like to one day be remembered and spoken about one day?
Gosh, it almost sounds a bit morbid. Like, what if I died tomorrow?
Hopefully it's cathartic. Hopefully it's a nice, memento mori moment kind of thing, looking back at your life.
I think I really, that's such a hard question. I think I want to be remembered for being, very driven in wanting to do things a bit differently.
Yes.
My firm runs 100% remote, and I think people find that so extraordinary and so different and unusual. And I want people to remember things don't have to be the way that everyone says it is. There are better ways, and so I want to be remembered for doing things just that little bit differently, and being kind. Being kind.
You certainly are doing that, and you've obviously, by the success you're experiencing at Lewis Family Lawyers, you're obviously impacting, and that kindness is showing, and that's why people are resonating. That's why you've got all the staff there, and you're setting the culture for them as well, because these are the future leaders of law. So thank you for everything you're doing there, Samantha. So we chatted about it before, but if you're joining now on the stream, how can people get hold of you? It's LinkedIn, your number's flying around. What do you prefer if someone wants to have a coffee or a bit of a confidential chat with you?
Yeah, give me a call or send me an email, samantha@lewisfamilylawyers.com.au. I am always up for meeting new people and seeing how we can help.
Very, very good. Well, I'll put your email there so people can actually send an email to you direct, samantha@lewisfamilylawyers.com.au. And thank you so much for being on episode 92 of LawLive, Samantha. I'm so glad in the last 8 years that we've known each other, we've been able to do this.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. It's been great.
No, it's going to be probably one of the top episodes that's going to be listened to, I'm sure. So looking forward to seeing the stats on that. But thank you again, Samantha. We'll bring you back in just a moment. And if you are a legend of law or know someone who is, and you'd like to be on the show, we're booked out to the end of the year. Maybe we can get you in next year. But we come out every Wednesday on the Live with Cullen Haynes show, talking to a legend like Samantha on LawLive, talking to a winner in the finance space with our Ledger Legends podcast for accountants and finance professionals, or a general winner in Live with Cullen Haynes show. Thank you for supporting the podcast. If you haven't already, give it a listen on Apple or Spotify. And if you want to rewatch it, you can do it on Spotify. It comes with the video, or you can go on YouTube or LinkedIn. Thank you so much, everyone. Enjoy your Wednesday. All the best. Make it count. And take care. Bringing you back, Samantha, if you had to explain your role in family law to my 3.5-year-old son, Benji, who is quite switched on, how would you go about doing that?
Yeah, I have kids similar ages. So when they do ask what I do and a lawyer, what does that mean? It means nothing. I just simply say I help people. I really help people that can't make a decision in their family. When their family isn't agreeing on things, I help them with solutions.
Amazing. Very simple to understand, indeed. And if you have one or have had one, how would your pet describe you?
Well, I think my pet that I did have would call me ruthless, because we had to rehome him after he bit my son. So,
oh my goodness.
Yeah, so he would think I was pretty ruthless. I think that would be one way to describe me sometimes.
No, very good. And how would your clients describe you when you're not in the room?
It depends on the matter that I'm in. Sometimes
Maybe the other side might describe you.
I have had them say, and even the other side have called me a boss bitch.
I love that.
And then I've had the total opposite, where they just say, gosh, she's just so lovely. It's like, well, you haven't seen me in court.
Watch me.
Watch.
Absolutely. And a nice one to finish off on. And, if you're a fan of any time travel movies and things like that, you'll like this one. So if you could go back and visit the younger version of Samantha Lewis at any age, what age would you go back and visit yourself? And what would the specific advice you'd tell your younger self?
Probably when I was like 7 or 8, and everyone kept saying, you're going to be a lawyer because you're so good at arguing. I had a teacher that refused to be in the same room with me if we were having an argument. We had to have the principal, because it would get very heated.
It would get messy. 7 years old.
Yeah, it started very early. And I think I would say to them, I would say to myself, keep going. Keep going. People won't respect lawyers. People don't respect lawyers. Change that. change that and do it differently because it works and you're so good at it. So keep pushing.
Keep pushing. I love that. And you are definitely changing the paradigm and the zeitgeist around it. And I think it's a welcome and refreshing shift, as I said to you before we started the stream. So thank you so much for everything you're doing, Samantha. And it's been a pleasure and a privilege to have you on the LawLive show today.
Thanks so much, Cullen. It's been fantastic. Thanks so much for the opportunity.
Thanks so much, everyone. Have a happy Wednesday. All the best. Take care. Hey there, Cullen Haynes here, Australia's leading broker for lawyers on LinkedIn, and here's why I want to talk to you today about my new book, The Laws of LinkedIn, 23 ways to find your tribe, build your following, and make 7 figures on LinkedIn. When I started this journey 7 years ago, when we built, myself and Andrew, my business partner, we built Legal Home Loans from the ground up, the pain point for us was we were at a standing start. No one knew who we were. We had no money, we had no context, and basically we had to find a way to make our voice heard, talk to our tribe, the legal community, and build trust. And the only thing we had at our disposal was LinkedIn, which was and still is free. There's over 1 billion people on LinkedIn, and I wish when I started, I had this book with me to guide me, because I basically distilled my 23 top leading hacks that we use to build our business to a 7+ figure, and I really want to get it out there and share it with you. So if you're back